say now, like I worked at a massive law firm working for the biggest companies like Johnson& Johnson, the biggest corporations in the world.
And I said, "Oh my goodness, please come on my podcast and help me to talk to my students about writing."
The vast majority of how you communicate to people will be through writing.
Communication is part of what we are. It's part of what we do that like no other species
Yeah,
does. I mean,
it's tough to even properly articulate how insane it feels to me to like outsource like your voice to a robot.
all right, hello everyone. My name is Ellen Finnigan, and this is episode one of the Teach to the Text podcast. And I'm so delighted to have as my guest today, Jim Stewart. Jim, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Jim was actually one of my former students. In the first class I ever taught as a teacher. This was back in, what was it, 2012, 2013, when you were a freshman?
2012 and 2013, I think.
Yes, yes. And so I was so delighted when I heard from Jim a few months ago and he gave me a little update on his life. And I said, "Oh my goodness, please come on my podcast and help me to talk to my students about writing." Because I think more than ever, I can't just teach writing anymore. I really have to sell them on why they need to actually learn how to write and express themselves in writing, when they could just easily type something into run it through a little machine and have it spit out a paper. So, Jim was a student at St. John Bosco Academy in Cumming, Georgia, a little hybrid school that was just the little train that could back when we were both there your freshman year. You were the first ever graduating class at St. John Bosco, right?
Uh, First like full 4 years, but they were like, I think my junior year, like three senior girls came. So they
Oh,
technically, yeah, we got like they were there for 1 year.
okay.
They kind of like stole that from us, but
Yeah, no, that's lame.
it wasn't.
Yeah,
Everyone thought so.
yeah, yeah. No, it was the best. I think we had like how many students? Just like eight or nine kids in your class when freshman
It's
year?
9 in my class.
Okay. I was gonna see if
Now
I could.
it's huge, I think.
I've heard it's like getting a new campus and everything.
Yeah, they have it. It's
Yeah. Oh,
and
they've
they
had,
have
well,
like
they built the building and that now that's
built the
like a second
building.
campus
Now
or
they're building. Oh no, they are. Yeah, I
yeah,
forgot about that. Yeah,
yeah.
they have like every class has like hundreds of people on the wait list. They already have like because it's the I think when we went it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
Yeah.
and then so they do that still, but then there's a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday as well. Like
Okay.
it's
That's wild.
exploding just because other schools are not doing well. It's
Yeah. They're doing amazing, amazing people that work there and teach there. And I mean when we were there, it was just one, remember we had like one floor on like this other Christian school.
yeah, it was like a warehouse kind of setup behind
Yeah.
like a evangelical church.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about
But
that place all the time. I drove by it actually like
really?
4 or 5 months ago. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was very
There was
weird.
like our school with like certain uniforms and then like the other kids had other uniforms. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a
And
blast though. That was my first time ever teaching. I got to be with you guys 2 days a week. I had no idea what I was doing. And Vivian Ferrari just like threw all these ancient Greek texts at me. She's like, "You're going to teach this and you're going to do rhetoric." And I'm like, "I've never even read these books before." So I don't know if I ever told you guys that, but
you didn't. No, I never would have thought that. So
yeah,
this is
no, I
I'm
had no
hearing this
idea.
the first time.
So I'd be like 1 week ahead of you, and I'm like, "So let me tell you about this book in the Iliad." But anyway, it was great to hear from you and to hear that you're still writing. So tell me a little bit about just like who you are and what you've been up to since high school.
Yeah, okay. So after high school, I went to Notre Dame for a year, which was the
Oh,
only
I
only school I
forgot.
ever wanted to go to.
That's right.
Uh,
Yeah.
because yeah, like not a lot of people in my family went to college. We were Irish Catholic, and so that was just like the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Went there, I just did not like it.
Okay. I forgot about that whole phase. I forgot about
Yeah,
that. But
yeah, I
what
went
just
to Notre
wasn't for
Dame.
you? You didn't.
It was, yeah, I think I probably should have just taken a gap year. I was just extremely homesick and like just couldn't really function. And then I also wanted to row more seriously. And so from there I went to Columbia, graduated from Columbia, won a national championship at Columbia. So I did, the call was correct.
Nice. That's exciting.
Um, yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
So then from there, I went to the University of Georgia, which was the only other school I ever liked,
Okay.
um, and went to law school there. Graduated in 2023, became an
Okay.
attorney. Uh, so I guess I still am an attorney, technically,
Okay.
um, in the
So
sense
what
that
kind of job did you get as an attorney when you graduated? Like what kind
I
of law?
got I got a big law job, which is like the dream. So I was in the top, maybe definitely top 10, maybe top 5% of my class. So then you get these big law jobs. I did corporate restructuring, which is just like mass scale pseudo bankruptcy, mostly just large corporations like Dollar Tree just trying to sell off unprofitable subsidiaries. Uh, yeah, so I did that for about 2 years.
You like that? Did you like that?
I I did not, uh,
No.
and then yeah, so I just kind of had it was a bit of a perfect storm of like I had kind of a just gauntlet of kind of personal issues going on that, and that was the kind of job where I mean, it was, you going days without sleep, and you even when you are sleeping, it's like 2 hours a night for months at a time, lost like 44 pounds. You can't eat. Like it was just terrible. And then I just had all this other stuff going on. I just like, I couldn't focus properly. And between that and then just the fact that I didn't want to be doing it and I never wanted to do it. Um, and I kind of, but I made a lot of money. I was saving a lot of money because I had no time to spend any of it. And I wasn't even eating. So it was like
Wow.
90%
Sounds
of my money
intense.
was just getting saved. So I kind of
Yeah.
just had this cushion, and I have always loved literature. And in the last, like, I enjoyed writing as a kid, but never really thought about it because I was always just kind of getting pushed down this like law path because that's
Mhm.
sort of what people say to kids who are like argumentative. And so I just kind of did it. But
You
then,
argumentative?
yeah, yeah. So I was built for it. I
You were.
was,
Yeah,
yeah. So,
I remember that.
uh, but yeah, so I just kind of thought, okay, I have this one chance right now to kind of focus on and try to, chase a dream that isn't super practical. But, I'm not married, I don't have kids. Theoretically, I have no responsibilities. So, I thought I would give myself like 2 to 3 years, just try to finish the book I'm working on now, see however much more I can get out before I inevitably go back to work.
Great. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
good for you. I'm
Yeah.
so proud of you when you sent me that message and said you were writing a book and I was just so excited and I just can't wait to read it. And I'm gonna get to read it soon, right? You're gonna send
Yes. 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 You'll be one of the first like three.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't
Yeah.
wait. I can't wait. So I want to get back to your book. I do want to hear about like what it's about and what you're writing about. But I wanted to ask you, um, you said in your email to me, you said, thanks for teaching me how to write. Like it was important to you. And I've always thought it was very important as well. I'm a writer myself. I love to write and I love teaching my students how to write. But I left my job in 2022 at Colby Academy. I'd been there for a long time and um, just kind of wanted to go out on my own and try some new things. And one of the things I thought I could do is teach writing, teach other teachers kind of how to do what I do, because I apparently have a way of teaching writing that really resonates with my students. And I thought, I can continue teaching my 20 students every year, or I could try to expand this and bring this to schools. And of course, right as I'm getting this idea to sort of take this to schools and create a program, Chat GPT comes along. And
Mhm.
so I quit my job in 2022. And by the time, I'm really getting going with this, in 2024, 2025, I have my first year of new students. And, I came up against the AI thing and these kind of Chat GPT papers. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this didn't exist when I was teaching at Colby, when I was teaching in last time, in 2022. I mean, of course, students have always been able to Google information and pull information in and plagiarize, but it seems like it was always known that that was like a form of cheating. And now it seems like it's just a tool. It's just one more tool that you can use. So I was hoping that you could help me just tell a little bit to my students who I will show this video to. Why is it important to write, and what have you found that it's done for you in school, in your career, in life?
Well, I mean, I think it's important to write the same reason or I guess a little bit different, that it's, important to know how to like speak English if you want to work at, a corporation in America. Like it is actually even more so now. Like I worked at a massive law firm working for the biggest companies like Johnson Johnson, the biggest corporations in the world. Nobody talks. Like you're never talking to anybody. Like
Really? It never occurred to
your
me.
boss is next door to you. You have mandatory in office. You're never speaking. You're only writing emails or Microsoft Teams messages or Slack messages. So really, like in the modern world, it's kind of sad. There's not a lot of human interaction, but the vast majority of how you communicate to people will be through writing. And if you can't do that, you're kind of just stunted. And I have friends who are at law firms as well, and they use ChatGPT to, respond to like every email they get, which it's like beyond even the idea that it's like you were a normal guy and now you're like totally socially stunted. You can't even speak for yourself anymore. Like people can tell. Like I immediately know when somebody has sent me something from ChatGPT because it's bad.
Okay.
Like it has none of the marks of a human being. It reads like a Wikipedia article. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
Everybody knows
Yeah.
instantly. And I immediately think so much less of you.
Okay.
And other people do as well.
Yeah.
So you just have to know how to do it for yourself. Like it's tough to even properly articulate how insane it feels to me to like outsource like your voice to a robot.
Communication is part of what we are. It's part of what we do that like no other species
Yeah,
does. I mean, they say like dolphins and stuff, but there's no like dolphin libraries anywhere with like,
right. Yeah, this
no.
is like our main thing
Right.
is this. And
Yeah.
like you're giving that up because it starts out of like laziness. You want to save, it's like a dumb assignment or whatever. You just want to save a little bit of time. And then it's so easy and you got away with it. So you just keep doing it. It takes like it might from what I've seen, it takes like a year or that's not even true. It takes like 6 months before you are like a toddler. And like you're so dependent upon this machine to do everything for you. It's like you literally are not a full human being anymore. It's very, very sad.
Yeah.
And it's like I think we're approaching a time like in the next like 10 to 15 years, like already I got very far ahead and I got a ton of opportunities in my career because I like could make eye contact with somebody and would, had a firm handshake and people
Mhm.
like really appreciated that. In the next like 10 years, the differentiating factor will be like whether or not you can speak and write like a normal human being.
Right.
And because very few people will be able to, like, if you look at like the statistics of like how much high schoolers are using this stuff, it's staggering how few actually like useful, worthwhile, full human beings will be graduating high school in the next 5 years. So if you can be one of them, truly the sky's the limit because your peers they can't write.
Yeah.
A ton of them can't even read. And so if you are able to read 3 sentences and like pick up on this slightest bit of subtext and tone and
Yeah.
so respond to it appropriately, like if you can read a message and go, "Ooh, it kind of seems like my boss is angry," or "This feels like there's a sense of urgency there that he's not saying or she's not saying,"
Hmm.
it's going to be enormous because otherwise you just have two chat GPTs talking to each other. it's
Yeah.
it's so troubling.
Yeah, I think I was just recently thinking about hiring a virtual assistant, and she was in the Philippines, and I talked to her, on Zoom face to face, and she was lovely and she was wonderful, and I really couldn't wait to work with her. I was like, this is the kind of person I want to work with. Um, and I'm sure that she can learn like anything that she needs to do. She's very smart. But I sent her an email with some of my human concerns about where I am with my company and just some of the, I'm a control freak. Like,
Yeah.
just I kind of like telling her, like, I just want to be clear about a few things before we start working together. And she wrote me back, and it was clearly a chat GPT, like bullet pointed, super perfect, like where I could tell that whatever computer she was using was picking up on key terms and like bullet pointing them out, but she had completely missed what I was really saying.
Right.
And
Yeah. It doesn't have the ability to like gather that.
no, like it was like the feelings that I had, like she wasn't I was like I was like she didn't even listen to me. And then I realized, oh, it's not that she wasn't listening. She just didn't even
She didn't read it.
like she didn't read it. Yeah,
Yeah.
she didn't read it. So I ended up like not hiring her. And so this is to your point, which is like I need to feel like you're listening to me if I'm going to work with you. Like I can run stuff through Chat GPT. I don't need you to do that for me. So yeah, it was like a lost opportunity for her, but I see what you're saying because even now that I'm in this world, I'm kind of like I just want to work with a human being. Like where are they? How do I
Yeah.
find one,
Because otherwise otherwise I don't need you. Like I
Right.
could be it's
Yeah.
it's very, I don't know, it's so inhuman to me. And it's, I don't know, it's just a staggering
Yeah.
amount of like it's, I mean, it's just laziness. I get it, but it's just so obviously hurting you.
Yes. And just yeah, and to your point about reading too, did you always do the classical education thing, or was that just that 1 year that I was teaching you?
No, I mean,
Did you?
I feel like it's really only like truly classical that first and then the next year as well, because we did Greece
Okay.
with you and then we did Rome.
Okay.
Um, and then you're kind of like those are the classics. So then you're kind of
Okay.
done.
Okay.
But I mean, I stayed with it. I took like everything I read with you or in the corresponding history course or the next year. I think because I majored in history in college. And so then it was like so easy in college because it was like,
Okay.
we were getting these massive like Thucydides or Herodotus assigned readings. And it was like, I mean, I read them still because it had been a while, but it was just so easy to do it again as
Yeah.
opposed to, if you were just, you had a normal history background and then you were approaching it for the first time and you haven't really read anything like that before. Like the rhythm can be so tough to pick up on. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
extremely useful for me.
And was the that's great. That's great that you got to do that twice. Not everybody gets to do that. Have you found that your knowledge of Thucydides has been helpful to you in your law career?
I mean,
Probably not.
I think it would have been if I had done like litigation, like some of like the rules of like rhetoric and stuff you get not like from Thucydides, but like um like Seneca, like the or any like great orator that unironically I did think about that sometimes when I was doing like moot court in law school,
Mhm.
which I was very good at, which then also helped me get like the best job you could possibly get.
What is that? What is that? I don't know what that is. Moot court?
What?
Moot?
Oh, it's you get like a hypothetical law problem that's intentionally created to be pretty much both sides have an equally strong case, and then
Mhm.
you argue against each other
Okay.
in front of like judges who are it's real judges, but who are, then acting like this is a real case. And so you're graded on, your oration skills, the strength of your argument, the logic, and then yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. And so, yeah, that's pretty cool. And so you did that, and so that's not just reading, so you'd have to read the cases,
You have
obviously.
to do a ton of reading and then, kind of assemble an argument
Right.
that you believe in, and knowing, and you have to argue both sides. You switch between rounds. So, you're making your argument knowing
Yeah.
full well like the holes in it, because in an hour you have to go do the other side. It's like debate and
Yeah.
have,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like the perfect trifecta. You're reading closely, you're organizing your thoughts and writing something, and then you're speaking and communicating them verbally. Do you get
Yeah.
points for like your way of communicating, or is it just like the logic and
Yeah,
the,
you also get, I mean, like if you're, I don't know, like you don't seem confident or you're not making eye contact or um I do a lot of it now. Like I just said or I say like when I speak, but that's more just like a vernacular thing. But if
yeah.
you do that there, you get crushed on that. So that was a really big issue for a lot
Ooh,
of people.
that would be hard. I say constantly. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll kill you on that.
Okay. Okay. And then you won that, right? Did you win that like internationally?
Well, my team, I won Georgia. So I
Okay.
won the state of Georgia. And then I elected to do an international one,
Hmm.
just like the hardest one, obviously. So I did the Philip C. Jessup International Moot Court Competition, which is the biggest in the world. It's like thousands of teams. So you're like, again, I mean, you're going against like, the Vienna Institute of Politics or like Beijing University and stuff like that. And so we made it to the semifinals, I think. Um, yeah, but I won best orator. So my team did not win, but I got an
That's
award.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And was it all memorized? Like it's all memorized, or like
Uh,
you
yeah,
have,
I mean, you'll see people and they lose in the earlier rounds. So you would see people reading, but kind of like glancing down sometimes. Well, you would see some people just reading.
oh,
And
okay.
then they usually wouldn't make it to the international rounds. They would lose like in their regionals. International rounds, it was none of that, but you would kind of see people like kind of quick glances. And
Yeah.
then yeah, I mean if you want to win, you have to have it all memorized. So
Hmm.
that was I have a very good memory. So that was kind of my like gimmick would be, because anybody can memorize their arguments, but I memorized the entire record, which is like 600 pages of like arbitrary facts. And so I would just work in ways to not make it seem like I was being extremely annoying. Obviously, everybody knew I was being annoying, but I would just work in ways to somewhat organically slip into a sentence, like the page site number, because then,
Oh,
if
that's
you're a
impressive.
judge, it's like, ooh, he really
Uh,
knows. And you
oh,
could be wrong also. Like
yeah.
you almost could just say anything, but I did know it.
Oh, wow. That's
Yes.
impressive. That reminds me of the rhapsodes in ancient Greece. They'd memorize the Iliad and just like recite it.
Insane. Insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
That-
professor at Thomas Aquinas. I think, no, he was at Thomas Aquinas, at some other kind of small Catholic university right now, who's memorizing Paradise Lost.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's those like Muslim kids that memorize the Quran. But that's like normal for them. It's like everyone does
Right,
it.
right. That's from yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Wow.
a lot of impressive stuff happening in the youth outside of America.
Ah,
You'll
yeah.
see a lot of kids in other countries doing stuff where you're like, what? It's like, yeah, you could do this as well, but you can't
Yeah.
read. So,
Right. Yeah. So we have some serious issues. Speaking of how argumentative you are, do you remember when you tried to convince me that the
uh,
best form of government I remember this time we had this
I
conversation.
might still believe this, by the way, so be very careful.
It was not a democracy. It was not constitutional republic, and it was not a monarchy. It was
I've
some other
heard
weird
this.
thing I had never heard of. And he's like, you were
A
like, what do you mean?
meritocracy?
A what?
A meritocracy?
No, it had like 3 or 4 words all combined.
Ooh,
And I think you wrote a paper on it. And
okay.
and it was really good, but I was like, I've never even heard of this. I've never heard of this before.
I might have made it up. That might have been my fresh take. I could
I don't,
see.
maybe you did. Maybe you like punked me,
I
but
might. I might have.
you should look in your files from freshman year because that was a very good paper. And I was like, he's gonna be president and he's gonna like change the entire like course of our he's gonna change our whole
I
system.
would love to change the nature of our democracy, but
Ah, that could be a good
I
goal
think
for
it's out
you.
of my hands. But I would. I do have ideas.
Okay, well,
And I,
good. I'm glad they're still cooking.
yeah.
Okay, so we have 10 minutes left because I'm cheap and I have the free version of Zoom. So, tell me quickly about like just what is your book about? It's fiction?
It's fiction,
Okay.
but like, heavily inspired by kind of real. Actually, it was when it began. At this point, it's sort of, um, I don't know. It's kind of something you always hear fiction people say, where it's like you have an idea and then it turns into something else, and they're like, I can't control it. And I heard that, and I'm like, dude, you're literally the one writing it. Like, of course you can control it. But
Yeah.
it unfortunately it did also happen to me. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so it was inspired by, I grew up with, I had two very close friends who were twins. Um, and I mean, I went to a private Catholic school, but a lot of my friends in my area, it was kind of a low income area. And
Mhm.
so uh, I knew these twin brothers who, one is now, I don't know if there's like a religious spin on your school, by the way. So you
I,
can remove
it's,
this if I say something I shouldn't say, but
oh, it's
he became like an absolute lunatic evangelical
okay.
who you just like, you can't even talk to him. Like he's out of his mind,
Okay.
um, in the way that certain sects of evangelicalism are, they trend that like rapture whole
Oh,
idea thing.
you sure, like,
Uh,
yeah, okay.
It's like we need to defend Israel right now because like this is for revelation.
Gotcha.
One of
Okay.
those guys.
Yeah.
And then the other twin got mixed up in kind of some Aryan stuff and was selling um, methamphetamine and got killed in a police raid when I was like
Oh,
19.
oh,
Uh,
wow.
so, but those are always like, it has always kind of been the two big issues in my life that I've lost a lot of friends to both sides. Either they, fall into like an extremist, heretical Christian sect and you just can't be around them anymore, or I've just had a lot of friends overdose. And so I kind of feel like those are the two biggest issues that are facing like the community that I care so much about.
Hmm.
Kind of the opioid epidemic, and I don't really want to keep honing in on evangelicals, but like that kind of idea of
A
like sort
certain,
of like cultish Christianity, where it's
okay.
not really Christian anymore. It's like you're doing a very particular thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
it's about those two issues, kind of heavy.
Okay. Those two issues and their intersection somehow.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your friend. That's very sad. Did you say he got involved in Aryan things?
Yeah. He was.
Oh,
I
just
mean,
like,
that's like the biggest meth supplier in the South, at least, is like Aryan gangs.
oh, I didn't
Uh,
know that. Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So is it when does it take place? In just modern day? Like,
And I had to do 2016, which is obviously like a loose time era. It's not like there's anything like I'm not like referencing like at Trump's
Trump.
election,
Okay.
but
Okay.
but I had to do that because it's, it's all these characters are reflections either of myself or of the people I grew up with. And so the way that I'm remembering these things happening are in like a very particular temporal vernacular.
Mhm.
And so it's 2016 because it's like I don't really know what slang kids are using anymore, but I know what we said then.
Right.
So yeah, it's
Okay.
my high school era.
Yeah, that sounds great. And so how far along are you?
Uh, Finished
Oh, I didn't realize that.
in the sense of I have written it all.
Okay.
And now I'm in the process of kind of I'm calling it like my first revision, though, realistically it's like I've gone over all of it several times before, but I'm doing my first like real read through with I have probably 300 notes on my phone computer, like the iNotes, uh, that as I went along and like kind of as the story developed in my head, and as I had different ideas, like the original plot that I had in my mind is just not what happened. But those earlier chapters are written, with this in mind, and so I'm now kind of going through reading and implementing, these edits where it's, maybe there was this character existed and now doesn't exist anymore, or well, that's now irrelevant, now that's just like a red herring, so we gotta so I'm kind of
Okay.
also I'm trying to pare it back because I'm a very maximalist guy, and
Yeah.
it's
Okay. And who are your influences? Who are your favorite writers? Do you have any influences or?
my favorite writers are Flannery O'Connor
Yeah, nice.
and
What else you got
William
there?
Faulkner.
Nice. Oh, okay. I don't really know. I haven't read much Faulkner,
Didn't
but
read much. This whole stack up there, that's all Faulkner.
nice. Okay.
And I've actually got some. Well, they're in cases. I won't spin you again, but I've got a couple. I've
Nice.
spent a lot of money on old books, so I have a bunch of first edition Faulkners. Uh, James Dickey, who I also have a James Dickey. Do
Okay.
you know James
Nice.
Dickey?
No, never read him.
He wrote Deliverance.
Okay. I've seen the movie.
The book. I have not seen the movie because I don't want to watch just that one particular moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
Uh, but the book is, I think, there's this idea in my experience from talking to people about it that because the movie was like that, that it's kind of this like, maybe it's like a fine book, but it's not like high literature. But like, I mean, he was the poet laureate of the United States of America. Like he is a immense talent. Probably my favorite writer of all time. And that book is, I think, the finest thing I've ever read in my entire life. I am biased because it is based on like my hometown is where that fictional setting is. And
Oh,
they shot it, like the movie is shot in Habersham County, which is where my family's from, Habersham and Rabun.
okay.
Uh, so I have a bit of a personal attachment to it, but
Yeah. That's
yeah,
cool. I'll have to read it. I've never read it, but I have gone whitewater rafting down that river.
yeah.
And every time the tour guide would be like, "So right over there," we're like, don't.
Knock it off,
You don't
man.
need to know." Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, cool. My one of my high school teachers always said, don't be an actor if you can't stand, unless you can't stand not to be. And I was really into acting in high school, but I knew I wasn't very good at it. And I was like, well, I think I can stand not to do this.
yeah,
But that always came back to me, like when I was in my 20s and I kind of like quit my corporate life. And I was like, I have to write. Like I can't stand not to. Like I had just reached a point where I had to do it. And I feel like you're at that point now. And so
yeah. That's,
I'm
I mean,
excited
that's
that
the
you're
same
doing it.
advice they give people because it's like, yeah, I mean, if you don't, it's the odds that uh, there's no chance you become like J.K. Rowling. Like nobody had ever made $1 billion before writing books. Nobody will ever make a billion again because like she got away with it.
Mm,
They will never let you, like she insisted on keeping the media rights. They'd never let that happen.
Ah, she was
So
smart. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, so it's not a super lucrative career most likely. So
yeah.
yeah, I feel like yeah, you just if you have to do it, I have to do it. And if I have to go back to
Good.
work, then yeah, of course,
Yeah,
but I'll keep writing.
good for you. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for that. And I asked you on text if you might consider doing some teaching. Not to put you
I,
on the spot, but
well, I responded. I don't know if you
I
saw
know
my
I'm very
response.
excited.
Okay. Yeah, I would be willing.
Maybe some rhetoric or
I
something like
I could certainly see myself adding value in that. The logic part we'd have to maybe
that.
discuss.
Okay.
I don't know about
Well,
that.
if you think you might want to take a class with Jim, Mr. Stewart, possibly in the future. Well, I'm sorry that it cut off there at the end, but I was trying to gently ask Jim once again if he might want to teach a class at Teach to the Text. He won an award worldwide, apparently, in rhetoric, and he's one of my favorite students, although all of my students are my favorite students, but I think he would make a really excellent teacher. So if you might be interested in studying with him, I told him I'm not going to push it and I'm going to leave the ball in his court and, he'll just contact me whenever. But if you're interested in possibly studying rhetoric with Jim, then go ahead and, sign up in the link below and I can put you on a waiting list. And maybe if I tell him, hey, we've got a bunch of kids on the waiting list, let's do this, then we can get the ball rolling. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. If you are one of my students, this is just one person of many I'm hoping to get on the podcast to convince you that you really should read the books and write the papers and do it all with your own brain, because it really is important. These are important skills. This is what makes us human. We communicate, and the better we get at communicating, the more human we become. I don't know what that means to become more human, but you know what I mean. Anyway, thanks for joining me for this first episode of the podcast, and maybe I'll see you next time. Bye.